Today we're breaking down Deantre Prince, cornerback for the Jacksonville Jaguars, rookie out of Ole Miss, drafted in the 5th round at pick 153. We already know his jersey number is 24, so we're talking about 24 reasons to love number 24, Deantre Prince, as a Jacksonville Jaguars fan. This is video number 3 in our breaking down the Jaguars rookie class from the 2024 draft. So be sure to check out 7 reasons to love number 7, Brian Thomas Jr., and 22 reasons to love cornerback number 22, Jarrian Jones. 2 of my favorite picks. Also liked this pick as well for the Jaguars. And speaking of 24, I'm watching through 24 right now on season 5, which I think is the best season of the bunch. But if you're a 24 fan, let me know in the comments. Shout out to Jack Bauer fans. And anyways, back to Deantre Prince. But be sure to hit like, hit subscribe, hit share. And this is video number 3. And we got 6 more rookies to go, hoping the goal is to finish by the end of June. And let me know what sort of content or style you want to do for these rookie breakdowns. So Deantre Prince, 24 reasons to love number 24, Prince. Number 1 is he has an underdog story. Look, I've grown up as a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, which means we're often the underdog, cheering on the Jaguars for more than 2 decades. And we also love underdogs. And Prince fits this in many ways. Number 1, his community, his city, Charleston, not South Carolina, but Mississippi, less than 2,000 people. And he was, broke history, was the first person out of his city, out of his area, to be drafted in the NFL. So shout out to Prince on that. That's a huge deal. But also, if you look at his college career, he played his freshman year, came as a 4-star recruit out of high school, played at Ole Miss in 2019, but then left Ole Miss for a year, played in community college in Northeast Mississippi because he said he felt like he had to work through some maturity issues. He also dealt with some personal tragedies, and then he comes back in 2021 as a walk-on to Ole Miss and plays 3 more seasons there, starts about 2.5 of them for the Rebels, both 2022 and 2023, starting every game for them. And then he also was a 5th round selection, which if you watched his post-draft interview, he was not super excited about. He thought he'd be a 4th round pick or earlier. So he's coming in with a chip on his shoulder. He's coming in hungry, and he has an underdog story, which I know as Jaguars fans, we want to cheer on. Number 2 reason to love him is he's another 4.3 speed guy. We mentioned this in our Jarrian Jones video, but the Jaguars are loving speed this offseason. They also took Jarrian Jones 4.3. Deantre Prince runs a 4.38 at the NFL Combine. Brian Thomas Jr. runs a low 4.3 as well. And then a lot of their free agent pickups, Savage and Darby, also run 4.3. So especially on defense, they like speed. And one cool thing about Prince was he ran a 1.47 10-yard split, according to the NFL.com and the NFL Combine, which was the fastest 10-yard sprint and 10-yard split at the Combine. So he's got great quickness, which is going to be super, super important. Number 3 is he's stronger than his size. Yes, he's only 6 foot, which good height, but only 183 pounds. His arms are a little bit shorter than you would like to see, but he makes up for that with very, very good strength for his size. He's not afraid to tackle, had nearly 150 tackles, in fact, 146 tackles for Ole Miss, and 100 of those, just over, were solo tackles, which is impressive for a dude that's 183. And you look at some of his highlights, he's tackling. There's one particular one where he tackles probably a 230, 240-pound quarterback on the goal line to stop them. He benched 12 reps at 225 at the Combine, which is very, very good, again, for a little bit smaller of a corner. Number 4 reason to love Deantre Prince as a Jaguars fan is that he brings tons of high-level experience. Jaguars loved 4.3 speed guys. They also loved SEC guys in the draft. We drafted about half the LSU team, not actually, but 3 picks, which is really, really rare. So 3 guys from LSU. We also drafted Javon Foster from Mizzou, and then, of course, Deantre Prince from Ole Miss. And part of Prince, he said, hey, I wanted to go to Ole Miss and go back to Ole Miss in 2021 because I wanted to play in the SEC. I wanted to play at the highest level. Again, he started every game for Ole Miss the last two seasons, going up against some of the top quarterbacks, some of the top wide receivers in the country. Reason number 5 to love him, and we'll pick up the pace here a little bit because the goal will be somewhere around 15 minutes for each of these videos, is that he has a future path to a starter. I think in 2024, he's probably just going to be a depth guy, barring any significant injuries, but Jaguars secondary has several question marks. Tyson Campbell is playing in a contract year. Ronald Darby, I think, is going to see a ton of playing time. He's going to be a good vet for a lot of our young secondary guys to learn from, but he's also already 30 years old, so we don't necessarily know what 2025 entails for him. And Jarrian Jones, who I'm super high on and think he's got a decent shot if we need him to play outside corner, but most likely his best fit is going to be slot corner. So that leaves a potential, if we see a very good rookie season from Prince, that in 2025 he could even crack his way into the lineup. Maybe it's later, maybe it's 2026. But that is another reason to love him. Number 6, he's got elite quickness. Several draft prospects profiles said that he has very, very good quickness. In fact, even though he almost played never in the slot, about 2 to 3% of snaps, he could potentially, if needed, the outside corner is the bigger need, and that's where he played 95+% of his time for Ole Miss. But he's got that quickness. He's very good mirroring. Again, he ran a 1.47 10-yard split. That puts him in the 96th percentile of all cornerbacks to be tested in the 40-yard dash. So that's another reason to love him. Number 7, and this is a big one to me, is that he's very good in run support. The Jaguars struggled, especially towards the second half of the year, to stop the run. We all don't need to relive Week 18 where we got gashed on the ground in that game that we desperately needed to win the AFC South, to go to the playoffs. And so having a cornerback, even though he's undersized, to come in and be very good in run support is huge. In 2023 for the Rebels, he had 5 tackles for loss. In both 2022 and 2023, he had over 30 tackles in each of those seasons where he started every game. Lance Zierlein from NFL.com says he does need to contain better, needs to hold his spot better, but you will see highlights. If you look up Deantre Prince highlights, where he will get in the backfield and he will hit a guy and get a solo tackle for loss. He also had his first college career sack in 2023 as well. Number 8 is that the Jaguars loved him. So Jags fans have been following the draft a lot. They've been following who they visited with, who they talked with. It was clear that this was a day 3 target for him. Of course, hopefully they loved every pick, but in particular, they had a top 30 visit with him. They also visited his pro day for Ole Miss. And several people from the organization have already said that they expect to see him make an impact on the field, even as a 5th round selection in the 2024 class. Reason number 9 to love Prince, he is aggressive in coverage. In the last 4 seasons for Ole Miss, 2019 and then 2021 through 2023, he had 21 pass deflections. He also had 6 interceptions, and in each of those 4 seasons, even when he wasn't starting in 2019 or starting every game, he had an interception, at least one interception in every season for the Rebels. He also held his man in these past 3 seasons to under 51% completion rating, which is very, very, very good. But I will say an area that he's going to need to get a lot better at is he does give up big plays. The last 2 seasons, he did give up 7 touchdowns when targeted, but love the aggressive nature. Again, Ryan Nielsen, new defense coordinator for the Jaguars, is clearly bringing a much more aggressive, a much more man-focused approach to the secondary, and I think he is going to fit very well. In fact, Deantre Prince said that several times in his interview with Jaguars media, saying he thinks it is a perfect fit, which leads us right into reason number 10 to love him, that he is a true press man corner. This is when Prince was at his best at Ole Miss. This is where he loves to line up. He loves to line up man on man. This is where he thrived. This is where he performed most of his work for the Rebels, and this is where he is going to do most of his work for the Jaguars in 2024 and beyond. A depth outside corner that you can bring in, if it's a 4 wide receiver set, 5 wide receiver set, where he can come in, line up. He's got the speed, he's got the strength, And he just needs to continue to improve his technique, continue to improve and make sure that he does not give up those big plays. Reason number 11 to love Deantre Prince, and this was another big one to me. This is kind of one I circled, is that not only is he very aggressive, but he's hyper competitive. His coaches praised him in this. In high school, he played 3 different sports, ton of different positions in football. In fact, he scored in 6 different ways. I forgot to write down. I don't even know how you can necessarily score. I know how you can score in 6 different ways, but that's a lot of ways to score in football. And he also, of course, performed very well at the NFL Combine. I mentioned this earlier. He wanted to play against the SEC. He said, hey, I wanted to play the best of the best. And even being a Florida State fan, I have to admit that the SEC is the best in college football. And then he said this recently. I love this quote when asked, hey, you ready to go? He said, I'm ready. He said, I don't care who is across from me, whoever it is. He can be the best wide receiver. He can be a Hall of Famer or whatever. I'm ready to compete. And his Ole Miss coaches, both his defensive coordinator and head coach, praised Prince in this area as well, saying that he is a just very, very competitive guy that's going to come in and do work, which I also love because someone asked him, hey, who is the toughest guy you had to cover in the SEC in college football? And maybe he was just saying that because he's now a Jaguar, but he said Brian Thomas Jr., who did cook him a few times and scored a touchdown on him. So speaking of hyper competitive, he's going to get to compete a lot in practice and training camp against guys specifically such as Brian Thomas Jr. So you get to compete against what you perceive to be the best. So he's hyper competitive. Number 12, he's got good hands. He played wide receiver some in high school. He also posted on his Instagram a couple weeks ago a great one-handed catch that he made at the rookie practice, rookie camp here recently. Again, he had 6 career interceptions, so I would not be shocked if we see hopefully 2 or 3 interceptions for Deantre Prince as a Jacksonville Jaguars rookie. Reason number 13 is he gives us some options at special teams. Jaguars assistant GM said this: they loves his speed, his tackling, competitive nature, which we just mentioned. He said he's going to be used at the bare minimum in kickoff coverage just because of his speed, his toughness, his ability to tackle really well. You don't get over 100 solo tackles and not be a very good tackler. But I think he's also going to have an impact in the secondary. But having some opportunities in special teams is going to be super important because, which we all know, the kickoffs are going to look very, very different in the 2024 season and beyond. All of a sudden, kickoff coverage teams are going to be even more important. So being able to contribute in special teams, it used to be kind of like a, hey, let's just kind of throwaway line. Now it's becoming even more important. And then reason number 14, performed very, very well in the draft process. We talked about this earlier, just did great. 4.38 40-yard dash, 37.5-inch vertical, 10.5-inch broad jump. All of those were above average, 4.38, of course, being his highest rated one. His RAS was 8.78, not as high as a few of the guys like Brian Thomas Jr. or Jarrian Jones, but still puts him in the top 10% of all cornerbacks to be tested at the Combine. And then he also played very, very well at the Shrine Bowl. Eric Galko, their director, praised him, which we'll talk about more here in a minute. Number 15, he brings needed cornerback depth. We talked about this with Jarrian Jones. There's a lot of question marks for the Jaguars secondary. I think a lot of fans thought we'd go cornerback earlier than 3rd round and 5th round. But if Prince can play at a potential day 1, day 2 level, then we get significant depth, which I think Jarrian Jones can play at potentially at least a very high day 2, potentially day 1 draft level. Number 16, speaking of Jarrian Jones, reasons to love Deantre Prince is he's already got great chemistry with Jones. They played together at different all-star games in high school. When asked about him, he said, yeah, we get along great. They actually played a lot of times opposite side field at the Shrine Bowl. Eric Galko compared them a lot to the Florida State secondary, where Jones and Renardo Green played opposite of each other and played really, really well. So to the point where Florida State had one of the best defenses in college football. Reason 17 to love Deantre Prince is he is a student of the game. A lot of coaches praised him on this. Eric Galko, again from the Shrine Bowl, commented specifically and said that Prince has a super high football IQ. If you look at a lot of Prince's highlights, he uses the sideline really well as an extra defender to push guys out. I was particularly impressed by a route that Malik Neighbors for LSU ran in 2022, goes up for the ball, and Prince is able to shove him out of bounds. He still catches it, but he's out of bounds, which is especially impressive because you only need 1 foot in bounds. But there's several plays like that where he uses the sideline to his advantage. Again, just a high football IQ. Several draft profilers said that he's a very good communicator in pre-snap coverage, which is going to be significant and a big help for the Jaguars as well. Reason number 18 is he is hungry to get better. We talked about this earlier, but he wants to prove that 32 teams in the first 4 rounds are going to miss out, and that the Jaguars should have drafted him earlier, but are going to be very happy that they got him in the 5th round. He mentioned this again several times in his interviews. He's hungry, he's ready to get to work, and he's ready to prove people wrong. And what is also encouraging is that most of where he needs to improve are very, very coachable areas. Again, he's got the speed, which you can't typically coach with 4.38. He's got the quickness. He's got the ability to mirror his man very, very well. He just needs to improve in making sure he doesn't go too aggressive for head fakes, too aggressive, and work on his back pedal technique as well. Reason number 19 to love Deantre Prince is that he's got humble swagger. A few of the Jaguars rookies have this, which is a lot of fun. You look at a guy like Jarrian Jones saying, hey, you're getting a dog. You look at a guy like Cam Little, even the kicker, having some big celebrations after the kick. And Prince said, hey, if I make plays for the Jaguars in my rookie season, you're going to know I make plays. And that's true in his highlights. You can see it. But he's also got a humility that's not about him. It's about the team, which I think is a great combo as well. Reason number 20, he is an improving blitzer. He only had 1 tackle for loss at most in a season. In 2023, he comes out and has 5 tackles for loss, no sacks. 2023, he comes out, has a sack. Pro Football Network said that he's a great blitz guy. I think he's a good blitz guy, but I think he's already shown improvement, and I think he will bring that to his game, to his arsenal at the NFL and for the Jaguars. Reason number 21 is he's a potential back-to-back fifth round hit for the Jaguars. Last year, 2023, the Jaguars drafted cornerback/safety Antonio Johnson out of Texas A&M. He played very well in his rookie year, to the point where Doug Peterson's already said he's most likely going to be the starting safety. So if the Jaguars can get back-to-back hits in the middle of day 3, that would be a huge success for them. Reason number 22, he's got good defensive instincts. He mirrors his receiver very, very well. He's got the skills. Again, he's going to play primarily in-man coverage. That's where he's going to be asked most of the time. That is his strength. But he does have the skills, the coverage skills, the high football IQ, that if needed, he can play zone coverage. Not quite as high of a level, but still at a good level. Number 23, he's a hard worker. He shared in the interview with Michael Katz that he wakes up every morning around 5:30, works out, runs a lot. That's why he's so fast, and he ran track in high school as well. He's got good technique. He meditates at night. He said that's one of his hobbies, so he's got a good focus on physical and mental health. I know it went a little bit long. We're closing in on 20 minutes, but reason 24 to love Deantre Prince. We started off with a history breaking, that he broke history, being the first from his hometown in high school to be drafted into the NFL, and he broke another record, this time a team record. So reason number 24 to love Prince is that he had a historic season for Ole Miss in 2023 as the team. The team finished 9th overall at the end of the season, ranked according to AP. They also had their first in school history 11-win season. I don't know if we have many Ole Miss Ole Miss Rebel fans for the Jaguars, but if you are, hey, drop in the comments, let us know what you thought about the 2023 season for the Rebels. But he's a guy that hopefully is going to break a record or two for the Jaguars as well. And so that's Deantre Prince. That is 24 reasons to love number 24 Prince. Let us know in the comments. Let me know what you love, what you're excited for this rookie. And again, let me know what you want us to cover. We still got 6 more rookies in the 2024 draft class. Let us know what you want us to hit specifically. And let's go Jaguars.